In this video, we'll be looking at the Carlson 2012 software and the report formatter. A variety of commands within Carlson utilize or give you options to use the report formatter. For 2012, we've added slope zone analysis, elevation zone analysis, input edit stage storage, and input edit stage discharge commands to the list that use the report formatter. As we look at the report formatter, it creates a number of different files. You can see the extensions and names of the files here. So if you see these in your project directory, don't be alarmed. They're there storing various information that the report formatter uses. The following slides are lists of the modules and the commands that utilize the report formatter. The text in parentheses is the key-in command for the command listed. You will see the same command listed several times. As I went through modules, we added these simply under the module they occurred in. The first four are commands that are available to all modules, occurring in the first 7 menus. And then after that we have commands that are specific to the individual modules. Feel free to pause the recording if you need to spend a little more time looking at these commands. There are quite a few options under the Civil module for using report formatter. Survey module and Construction module. Takeoff module, Natural regrade. And then we start with some of the mining module commands that utilize this. There are several mining modules, and they've all just been kind of grouped together here under the mining heading. Here's another page of commands within the mining module that utilize the report formatter. Again, feel free to back up the report or the video and study these a little further as you find the need to. Okay, so having looked at some of the commands that utilize report formatter, let's take a look at the report formatter itself and how it works. To do this, I'm going to go to my points menu, go to list points, and here I have a toggle that says use report formatter. I'm using a relatively small file. There are only 5 points in here. There are standard formats that are stored with Carlson or installed with it, and you can select these. Most of these are fairly self-explanatory based on their descriptions. Here's our list point. You can actually create your own and save those as well. So we take these points or attribute options and simply slide them over, add them to the list of used to create our report. Go ahead and display that real quick. This is the standard Carlson report viewer, and you can see we have our point number, northern, eastern elevation, and description. We can adjust the order of these using the large green arrows to move them up or down. You'd simply highlight one, move it up or down in the list. The sort option tells us that our points are being sorted by the point number going up. The hold prohibits any subsequent heading to be sorted. So in other words, if I wanted to sort by description, I would need to mark the previous 3 as ignore, so it doesn't sort by them, but it doesn't stop from sorting by description. Alright, so that kind of gives you an idea on sorting, how to add and remove these items from the list and control their order. The default is to put these in a column format, so as you saw in our initial report. If you're dealing with a relatively small report, we can mirror that report so it displays, rather than point number as a column, it reports it as a row. In some cases, this may be preferable to the column format. Again, the mirroring of the columns works on smaller reports. If you are dealing with a large report, you'll get a message saying that the report is too large and the command has been disabled. We are displaying the table headers. If we toggle that off, we haven't actually defined any headers here, and so we won't see those, but they show up in the HTML report. So here we just have those default names in the report. If we toggle on Display Table Headers and look at the HTML report, we now have, in addition to these options, we have the headers up here at the top. Okay. Use comma in numbers. What this will do is add a comma every third digit, making some of these numbers easier to read. If you're dealing with large volume state plane coordinates, this can be very helpful. The default here is to set those column widths automatically based on the data and the column heading, whichever is larger, or you can define a fixed width for each column. You have options for reporting totals, grand totals, or totals for point number, northing, easting, and so on. Total for points 5. Again, something that, depending on your reports, stage storage reports, volume reports, timing reports, may be a little more appropriate to do those. You can send out the report data in a number of formats. We've looked at the standard report viewer. We've also looked at the HTML report, which would be presented to put out on a website for general information. There's also a spreadsheet view that you can export. Variety of formats, including Access database formats, Excel formats, CSV formats, and XML formats, which again would go to a website. You can also export those options using the Import-Export tab here. You can use the Import-Export to merge your reports if you have multiple reports, or to save them out. Table entry says it will create a table when we exit the report formatter. So let's go ahead and exit. We're prompted for a location for our table. We pick that. And then we have our table options. Text styles, alignments, column widths, field names, all can be edited. Layer for our table. Totals color and header color, so we have background colors for those. Display header, display totals. We'll click on OK, and you can see our table is presented here with the background color and the text, point number, northing, easting, elevation, and description. We'll jump back here into our report formatter. And take a look at some of these others. User attributes allows the user to add new attributes based on the existing attributes. So I can grab an existing key such as the point number and tell it that I want to add 100 to that point number value. I do need to give it a key like new P&T and a heading. We'll say new point number. Click OK. This new attribute will be added to the list here. And so I could add it to our report, move it up the list so it's right after the original point number. And so now we have the point number, the new point number, and the northing, easting, and elevation. Key thing here with the user attributes is you can only use existing attributes and build equations from those. Field options allow us to add things like time dates or report titles or other user-defined information, and then decide where in the report it should be found. Should it be in the header or the footer of the report? What order do you want it in? You can move these things up and down. for your report information. Attribute options allow us to come in and add or modify any of these attribute options. We can edit these options. Remove them, import and export, again using the same formats we saw earlier from the spreadsheet view or from the Import-Export tab. The other option here is Excel, where we actually write it directly out to an Excel file, which would be either a new file, a current file, meaning we have it open, or to an existing file. You select the file, specify the sheet, and the starting row and column for your information to be placed in. Hopefully this gives you an introduction to some of the options, the ability to customize the information you're seeing, the order it's being seen in, and the format that it's set up in to meet the needs of any clients that you may have that are looking for reported data coming back to them from your office. If you have questions, feel free to contact Carlson Software. Thank you for watching.